In an effort to diversify the content on my channel, I'm going to be stretching out into a few different kinds of videos, stuff that doesn't quite neatly fall into the categories that I've already established, like top 5s, reviews, monster lore, and I think one of those is going to be, as I'm doing in this video, ASMR, or Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response. And the general idea behind ASMR is that if I talk quite softly and most importantly of all very relaxed, then hopefully you too will feel relaxed. And if you've not done anything like this before, you're quite confused by the whole idea, try and think of a video you might have watched once that wasn't very interesting, it was quite boring, but for some reason you quite liked it because it made you feel relaxed, it just put you at ease. And that's actually where I first found ASMR videos, not through I guess the traditional channels, and I got into it because it's a really good way of helping you to sleep actually. If you've got an iPhone or an iPad, I would highly recommend actually just getting the screen away and just lying back in bed and listening to it, because it's a very therapeutic thing to do. But this is a gaming channel and I cannot forget that, so in this first ASMR video I'm going to be talking about how mobile gaming has changed so drastically since I was a young child. My very first mobile gaming device was the Gameboy Color, and I think my first mobile game was the Tweenies. It was an exceptionally short game. I think it took about 20 minutes to complete, but that didn't stop me playing it over and over and over again. I was very young, so I liked the Tweenies, and also I had never played anything quite like it before, so I wanted to play it over and over again, of course. But then I noticed that the Game Boy Advance had come out, and this offered loads new games, better graphics, and I decided for my birthday I would have the Game Boy Advance, and there were so many great games for this device. There was Super Mario World, there was Wario, there was Pokemon, of course you cannot forget Pokemon, there was, I think my Pokemon game of choice was Leaf Green. So many great games for it. I think I also eventually, because my Game Boy was damaged in an accident that involved a fox, I had to get the Game Boy Advance SP, which is very similar but had the major advantage of having a backlight. And then one day I heard about this new device that was coming out, and it was called the Nintendo DS. And this had me very excited, not because of the two screens or the stylus or the touchscreen. In fact, I wasn't really keen on the idea of a touchscreen. No, what really interested me about the Nintendo DS was the ability to display 3D graphics, and I hadn't known this in a mobile computer, I guess you'd just say generally. For so long it was just such an impressive feat. The Game Boy Advance games had all been 2D, or some games that were trying to create the impression of 3D but were actually 2D. And so, because I was so excited for it, I begged my parents to pre-order it. But then something happened. The Sony PSP was announced, and this could do even better 3D graphics according to the early reports I heard. And so I actually ended up getting, funnily enough, the Sony PSP. But then I realised quite late into having my PSP that I had made an error. Because although the graphics were better on the PSP, the games were worse, and I actually ended up trading my PSP for a Nintendo DS Lite and getting Pokemon Diamond, which turned out to be my favourite Pokemon game of all. In a way it's good that I did that though, because I ended up with a DS Lite which is vastly superior to the original big fat DS. So I guess it worked out well in the end anyway. But little did I know that the age of the dedicated handheld console device was about to end for me, because I found, very much by accident, the iPod Touch. The iPod Touch was capable also of displaying 3D graphics, and it had a lot of fun games on it, but the best thing was that it also had the ability to play music, watch movies, do YouTube, and the games that you bought on it were extremely cheap, crazy cheap, and that allowed me to get a ton of them, and I enjoyed all of them. And so for a long time the iPod Touch was indeed my gaming device of choice, or at least my mobile gaming device of choice. And I only really replaced it with further iOS devices. So I replaced it first with a third generation iPod Touch, then a long time after that an iPhone 5 and now currently an iPhone 6, and I'm really enjoying it, and that really does describe essentially where I am. And I think this is a good place to wrap up this first ASMR video. I know this is going to be a polarizing video and that some people are going to like it, some are going to think it's extremely weird, but do let me know because I'm not sure if it's something I should pursue. I really do not know. As always people, thanks very much for watching and see you next time.